see the report.
Yes. No, I can. Unfortunately.
Yeah, so, right, we're back. There's nothing really to report on that because we've got all the quotes in, but we had a chap come and measure because we put it on hold, didn't we? Said we've got to get a proper plan, scale plan. So we've had an architect come in who came in slightly above what we'd allocated as a budget, which Emma said that's fine, get on with it. And he came last Tuesday, so we should be getting his drawings soon.
Just in terms of timescale, our next meeting is the end of January.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a 2-month delay, isn't it, on making any decisions potentially?
We've got full council in December, so we can always chuck some bits and pieces that way.
Precisely, we can do that.
Because some of them are big items anyway that are more than our budget.
So it's just the nitty-gritty of where things.
Yeah.
And I think that's, so essentially, I think we've got to formally decide that it then goes back to full council, if you see what I mean.
Yeah. And you've already looked at all the quotes, so even though we're not talking here about recommendations, you can chat with full council and say which ones you thought were the better ones. So, yeah, it's a fairly good fail-safe that we've got that.
Okay, that's good.
Does that need a resolution of any sort?
No.
It's just
No.
rubbery.
The hub is nothing to report, so we'll move on to the QBH.
No, we can't do that one either.
Yeah, so approved cost for external painting, we can't do that.
Okay, no, carry forward. Your December full council is going to be quite loaded at this rate.
Yeah. Okay, courthouse.
Same again.
Again.
First one.
Now, discuss courthouse hall, possible damp issues to some extent. Is this the wall you sent us?
This is all I said.
Yeah.
This is the,
That's me giving it on the lunch today.
Oh.
That is a funny little ridge thing. I've never noticed that there before. Most
Yeah.
odd.
I went down to have a look at it today because obviously we've got the plans and it clearly says the wall that divides the yard from their garden is our responsibility.
Mm.
And it clearly says that everything the other side of it is their responsibility.
Yeah.
And it looks like the roofy bit that we've had photos of is on their side.
Yeah.
The only thing I saw is that. So I opened the gate and had a look. I'm no expert, but we renovated a farmhouse with rubble walls. What I do know, the advice I was given a number of times, is that water in rubble walls does weird things. So it might come in here or come out here because it's run down the rubble, rather than the wall itself. So bearing that in mind, I suspect that has got a rubble wall inside one of those tiles.
you're talking about this bit here.
Yeah. And I went down and had a look at the wall edge because I assumed the wall is ours, what's in there.
Yeah.
But I couldn't see any obvious cracks or leaks or anything in the roof. And the only thing I did see, if you can go back to the photo that was up a minute ago, the other advice we were given is in old walls, only use lime because it breathes. That I'm pretty sure is based water. And I was wondering if that, what looks like a damp patch, is actually water that's in the wall, that's come from, if there's just a standard stone on a bit of mud behind the wall, that water's going to come up and it's going to wick out through the cement, and the salts in the cement then continue to draw the water out. Now, I don't know where the damp patch is on the other side, but I suspect it's probably about
Where they've described it is about a third of the way into the room. Yeah.
So I was wondering if it is worth us looking at, since that's on our wall, we seem to be
Doing
something and get the cement grouted out and repointed with lime, which in theory won't solve the damp issue, but it will give the damp somewhere to go.
Yeah.
Because lime is breathable. That's my brief summary from seeing it today. And then if the problem is higher up,
It's whether it's coming in here. This is where somebody said they thought it might be. That looks to me like they've treated it with tar at some point. But apparently that's like a mini roof. That really should be lead flashing. And it's not going to help that any water that comes off here, this is a pointed sort of coping stone on the top apparently, but this could be running off and soaking down into this bit here. So somebody said you could actually lift this and put some lead flashing that comes down over here. You could even put some guttering if you wanted to along the wall. But that, I don't know. And again, we don't know whether that will solve it because we don't know whether this is where it's coming in.
Max?
Yeah, I'd maybe take a slightly different view from Ian in that I don't want you to go back to the picture, but the picture of the wall taken from our side out with all that damp on it. I would hazard a guess that although you're right about the line and everything else, that's potentially caused by actually the water coming between the two walls. And in fact, if anything, they're damaging our wall, not the other way around. I think, I'm looking like David now, planning commission, but that's planning committee. But I think you're not going to actually resolve what to do until this is actually taken away, and you actually have a proper look
what's in between,
at what's underneath there. But that's theirs.
That's on this side.
And if you look,
And in a sense, I think we need to put pressure on them, say you've got to do something about it. We're looking at it the wrong way around.
if you look at the dark part, I mean, it definitely has a shape. It's not dispersed.
No, it looks
So
like
it
it's,
looks like the
one
size
section.
of the structure that's
and it does look as if a lot of that pointing, you can see on the
on the
left-hand side of the dam, there's a
Absolutely.
gap, and there's more pointing. And there's lime on the post behind the gate, and there's lime further down the wall.
That's what
A
I
lot
think.
of that section is cement, but
Yeah.
it's not all wet.
Yeah.
So it does look like a fireplace or something.
Yeah, okay. So essentially, I guess we have to go back to them and say, well, you need to have a look. Is that right?
we need to look what's going on between here,
Yeah.
don't we?
So we're assessing that the wall is ours,
Yeah,
but what's beyond the wall is not ours.
and between here, yeah.
It's not
That
ours.
roof is not ours.
It's resting on our wall, but it's attached to their property.
Okay.
And so if they want to investigate and then come back to it with their findings.
So if I tell us that we're going to investigate what's happening in the pictures you've showed me here, this bit,
Yeah.
going to take steps to have a look.
The
Or
only thing
not.
I think we might want to offer is this feeling, the point is it's in both our interests to get it
Of
resolved.
course, yeah.
So therefore, if they agree to investigating that top bit,
hmm
maybe we should contribute to the costs of that. Without knowing what a quote is, I don't know what the size of that contribution might be. But what I'm trying to do is trying to ease the negotiation with them.
Over the years, we have done a lot of improvements to that wall.
Mm.
Remember when Robin had it on Indeed?
Mm.
We more or less did the whole wall, didn't we?
Mm.
Pointed it and,
The pointing might be what's.
you see, that might be what,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because certainly, we had a damp problem up in Cumbria, it was done like that, we took the cement out, put the lime in, we never had a damp problem again.
It's got to
Whereas-
breathe, there's got to be airflow, hasn't
Yeah.
there? Yeah.
So, it could be a combination of lots of factors, but lime will certainly help that breathe.
Yeah.
So it could be that we recommend or ask that they investigate their roof,
Yeah.
And we do the other.
and we get a quote for
Yeah,
this.
that's a good compromise.
Yeah,
At least we're doing what's
I like
on
that.
our side. Because if there is damp in that wall, with the wall not nice behind, it's in our interest to solve
Yeah.
that problem.
Well, we don't want that falling down anyway, do
Yeah,
we?
that's
So,
a very good compromise.
So then at least we've done something and looking after our wall.
okay, so you're proposing that, Ian, yeah?
Yep.
I'll second that.
Jamie, yeah,
Stage strategy. More
and everyone
package
happy?
review.
Okay, brilliant, thank you.
But the man still with that.
Yeah.
Space in theory. That's what it's called. Sorry.
Car parks. Choose contractor to install eco drain at drillable recommended.
Yeah, you've got the two quotes, one from the people who did the drain survey for us and one from another company. I was due to get another one today, but again, somebody who I've been chasing that hasn't come back. So again, I don't know whether you want to wait for the third one or are happy to
I
choose
think we should, shouldn't we?
the cheaper one. The prices were very different. I was quite
Yeah.
surprised,
Yeah.
I have to say, because I've always relied on Dino. So 7.9 as opposed to 2.9.
Crikey.
Ian.
I was just wondering, Dino is scarily expensive because it's just a drain, but
Yeah.
they're very specific. The other one, there's no idea of the definition of width.
Mm.
So it'll be interesting to make sure that they're putting it across the whole of the car park,
Mhm.
the whole of the entrance. They also say install a small catch pit in place of gully, install 100 mil UPVC pipework to the trench. I just wanted to make sure that they were putting that onto the drain as well,
Mm,
Yeah.
rather than just a catch pit that drained away.
drains away, yeah.
And just a boring thing, I did a little bit of due diligence, as it were, on the company, and I found their website, but I couldn't find where they were based or anything. So just have we check for insurance and I got a license, but
Yeah, I think I agree with Councillor Clark. I think we need to just do a bit more due diligence on this.
Okay,
I was just slightly worried about some of the detail or lack of it.
because most of it sounds fine.
Mm.
But it sounds like the sort of thing I'd have said I'd do. I'm not licensed.
well, when I sent it out for quotes to two other people, I actually copied and pasted, what Dino put.
Yeah.
So when it came back, I was assuming they'd read what I'd asked them to put. No, there must be another sheet because there was more information from Dino. It was quite a list of what they were going to do. Okay, yeah, I'll look into that.
So it's just checking that I think Dino said 9 metre.
Yeah,
So just confirming it's 9 metre across the whole entrance, how it's connected to the existing underground pipe.
Yeah.
And if they could give us their public liability insurance and any licensing work.
yeah.
Because I assume they're local, but
I think they're Kettering.
there's no
Of course,
address.
those local.
They are, but there's no address or local phone number on the website. So I assume they're an agent.
Okay, yeah,
I think they probably are.
So as long as they're pucker.
yeah,
Again, it's more than we can vote for, isn't it?
yeah. So it was, did I put on there to recommend? Yeah.
Recommendation.
So could we put in place a recommendation at this stage for the next full council meeting, or do we need to wait for the third quote to come in, which is January?
We can just move it to, again, like I said, to full council if you want to. And if you've got in your mind, and I just pop you the third quote and get confirmation of these.
Okay. That's fine, I'm not happy for council to.
Yeah.
Really happy with that, that sounds good, so we can effectively make a
It's- yeah,
recommendation based
yeah.
on
Yeah.
what comes in.
Okay. Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Okay, review of Southwell car parking photos and update on Benefit Road car park.
Yes, so I don't just take photos of things, I do other things sometimes. But I was in Southall or Southwell, Southall, depending on
Okay.
you. Well, I was Southwell, but Southwell, half most of it Southall. Anyhow. And one of them was, as I walked through on the rainy day, market, and the market operated, I saw a photo that said, here, flash up. It was about residents. And the only thing I thought, it was a Nottingham Council sign, Yorkshire District Council. We know from talking to Southport do all their parking anyhow. And it was his idea of nominated residence area rather than individual spaces.
That's interesting.
And I thought it was worth taking a photo of and bringing it to this meeting. So they had an area next to a housing, a block of flats in the middle of town, whatever Southport is, in the Minster, and there were about 7 or 8 spaces, and they had a sign saying it was a residence car park. It was right next to the market, so there were lots of people trying to bustle in and bustle out. But the point was they weren't allocating spaces for particular residents. It was an area that was dedicated to residents in general. And then they absolutely have a permanent holder system for those who live in flats. Or is that a midway that we haven't considered?
I kind of go around in circles here in terms of trying to understand the problem is we're trying to solve. And in part, my understanding is that what we're trying to do, first of all, is to essentially have a set of regulations about who can and can't use car parks and under what circumstances. And that requires us agreeing what those are and displaying them. I think, and there are obviously regulations that go beyond whether or not one's a resident or not. So are we now saying that we want residents only, or just part of the car parks reserved for residents, and how will we define residents?
I suppose I wasn't coming in with that particular direction. I was merely saying that this was an interesting way of thinking about the car parks again.
Yeah.
And the point about regulations and signage, because the meaning is still there, seemed to be key for us in Benfield Road. And I thought it was a good point for us to look at it again and say, what are we actually going to do in the next couple of months to start moving forward with it? Because at the moment, without us putting some signs up that we can then enforce,
Yeah.
then our park is what it is. And if that's what we're fine with, then that's fine. But I think we probably need to.
But I think we've kind of moved beyond that. I thought we'd already agreed that we do want regulations. So we've got to define what those regulations are. But again, I'm going to repeat what I just said. It seems critical in defining those regulations, whether or not part of those regulations are about residents having some form of priority parking.
But with that comes enforcement, isn't it?
Yeah.
So in Southwell, they have a very simple thing, and I saw it in action in the 2 days I was there. They have a car park in the middle of town. The first 2 hours are free. You've got to put a ticket. You've got to put it in the car, registration number. If you're within 2 hours, you drive off, it's free. So it's the equivalent of our co-op. But then after that, you pay. But I was there one day for 7 or 8 hours. And the traffic wardens came round as a pair 3 times. And the problem with any regulation is you've got to have the enforcement.
Yeah.
So in effect, if we're going to have residence zones, shall we say,
How do we enforce it?
how do we enforce it?
And you can't enforce it without essentially paying somebody to do so. And you've therefore got to raise the revenue in order to pay for that
Possibly.
enforcement.
Oh, and you also got to be able to pay in some way. And if you go over the time. and whatever.
One idea that we
What
talked
you
about
say.
at Benfield Road was that photo thing, wasn't it? Whereby you get one of these private companies to monitor it, and if you feel, in this case, for example, we might say that there's no time limit on the Benfield Road car park beyond, I don't know, a week. And if a car's been there longer than a week,
See,
within our estimation.
I don't think we'd raise enough revenue.
Well, I don't think we need to raise the revenue. All we need to do is then, it's what, it's £200
We
a
do,
year?
unless we want to pay more staff to enforce
But
24
it-
hours 7.
But in this case, if a problem was brought to us, as the mini was, we could then take a photo of it, put a note on it saying you've got a week to move it, take another photo, send it to the company. They say you've broken the regulations, and they do all the enforcement and fine chasing and chase down the ANPR, etc. So it's an annual cost. I think we were talking about doing it as a 12-month trial, see how it works. We can't put the sign up until we work out
No,
the regulations.
and this is the problem, it's a bit circular, we need the regulations, but we need to understand what it is we're trying to regulate.
It's just an idea, is there something like, I don't know how you would do this, but if, for example, you display a permit in your car that you've paid, I don't know, £50 for a year, that way you don't get a parking fine. Because it shows that you're a resident or you have an address.
But, again, I feel we're going around in circles. Are we talking purely about Benningfield Road, or are we talking about?
No, generally.
Generally,
That would make it permit holder only though
Because-
then, you,
because we
general
clearly
public.
need to let non-Arndell residents park, I would say, in all of those car parks.
Yeah.
The question is what the ratio may or may not be. And clearly the co-op one is fundamentally used by shoppers.
Mm.
The Benningfield Road is used a lot by residents in the place, because there's very few houses near Benningfield Road that actually have on-street parking.
Yeah.
So, but equally, it's used by a lot of people who just, I know because I see it, they come there, they park there, and they walk down West Street into town. And we don't want to stop that either.
No.
So it strikes me the first issue that we have the Benningfield Road, which seems to be the best one to focus on now, is time. In that people are parking cars potentially for weeks or months and not moving them. And then it strikes me we need to deal with that first and then the resident issue next. Because if the time as an issue goes away, it might be with the residents. Because at the moment there's at least one car taking its space and has been for
Over a
2 or 3
year,
years.
yeah,
So,
And we can't move it at the moment.
no,
so let's try and move towards a proposal. I think you're right, Ian, that we should maybe use Benningfield Road as a trial. And trial something there, because I think it's probably easier for various reasons, if only because it's the smallest of the car parks, and it's that we can trial putting out some regulations, which is more about what you can and what you can't do, and actually it's primarily based on the fact that you can't leave a car there for longer than a week or whatever thing is.
That seems a simple, decent.
And it may be that it's nothing to do with residents and non-residents, it's just straightforward, this is what you can't do. And that includes, the fact that your car can't be left there for more than a week.
What have we got up there at the moment?
Nothing.
There's nothing at all.
I thought.
That's the whole point, it's just simply a space.
That's why we can't get rid of the
Because,
mini.
I think, personally, I think our main concern
You couldn't,
is abuse of
Yeah.
spaces more than anything else, isn't it?
the way it currently stands, if a coach went in there and parked, you couldn't actually physically stop it.
No.
No, yeah.
Because at the moment, we can't get this particular car moving.
We can't.
because it's not
There's
written
nothing we
in
can
our
do.
rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is say, here are our rules, and then we can start.
Yeah.
moving it.
So going back to do we need to create a bylaw for this? Because I'm really
We don't need to start bylaws, because it's private land, we can
Okay.
just say these are
Yeah.
regulations.
Right.
And the company that we were looking at with the phone thing, they've got like a template we could use, that I think we can adjust. Is it worth therefore, between now and our next meeting in January, I'll try and get that template, play around with it, and get something about a week in.
Yeah.
And if I send you maybe their details, we can get a firm quote
Yeah.
for a year, so at least in January we can vote on it and
Yeah.
say, jogged up.
I think that will cut down quite a lot of the problems anyway, that the car cannot overstay more than a week without moving. I mean, whether they take it off for a day and bring it back again, that's,
We'd have to find out somehow.
yeah, but, because I know there are people that park it there all week, they do come and go, but,
But once we've got the regulations, we
Yeah.
can change it.
but at least it'll achieve the one thing of as being able to remove the Mini. That'll be one
Every time I
achievement
cycle
just by a
past
simple sign. I know, drives me mad.
Right, I'll get on to that.
Okay, so is that do we need to propose that?
Yeah, Ian's proposed it, seconder,
Max?
Max, yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. Everybody happy, yeah?
Okay. Excellent.
Good.
That's good.
Okay, that's quick.
Excellent.
Public toilets.
Not enough of them.
But more than that.
Nothing major to report, just we had a bit of an issue with the ladies' lighting not coming on automatically, which has been sorted. And there's a leak in the gents' hand dryer, minor leak, which we're currently sorting out.
That's good. Okay, other properties and open spaces. Discuss the leaves from the wreck on new road pavements. So next steps, leaves here.
Leaves. On my cycle routes to work, I get accosted by people because I'm wearing a canvas school jacket. And if any of you are aware, you drive down New Road at the moment, there's been a lot of work in one of the fields on the left-hand side with trees and fences. There's a massive ditch for the water, and the water's coming off the road. And people are like, "Mm." So I'm talking to governor's agents about that or whatever. One of the questions is, there's lots of leaves going into the drains there. And the leaves are largely from our trees in the wreck. So I've gone down a couple of times with my little spade and cleaned the drain out. It doesn't change the situation. But then I'm also cycling to work at the moment. I'm aware lots of people are cleaning leaves off street and pavements. And I'm suddenly aware that there's a big build-up of leaves on the pavement by the wreck. There are leaves, there are trees. What are we doing?
Highways, isn't it?
Well, also, what are we doing? Because then the pavement in the wreck has got a lot of leaves on. And I
Yeah.
suddenly thought, what do we do with leaves in the wreck?
Yeah,
And what do we do
the
with
guys
leaves-
should be leaf blowing, they're normally, up for the
Is there-
pathways. And I can get them to look, I know it is a highways thing, but trying to get them out to do it, if our guys are there and have got the blower, then if they at least blow them into a pile. Okay, I'll, speak to maintenance. That drain is a problem though, where you're talking about, I called them out when it was completely covering the whole road. And I got a report back on, Fix My Street saying the problem had been solved. So I said to Tony, oh, they've been straight out and done it. He said, well, I don't know what they've done because it's where they've gone and done something, I don't
I
know.
think there's two problems. There's a storm drain on one side of the road
Right,
next to the wreck, which
Yeah.
regularly floods.
Yeah.
I think that's based on the water level coming down New Road.
Down New Road,
floods it back out.
right,
But then there's also now a problem, the
tyre centre
Riverside.
side, yeah, Yeah.
which is caused by the work they've had done with the big dips. I think
Yeah.
they've gone over a field break.
Mm.
So, I'm talking to people at school.
Okay.
And if it becomes a highways issue, it's a highways issue.
Yeah.
But I think it's the water coming off the field.
Yeah. They're probably meeting at that point, aren't they? It's a meet point, yeah, okay. Okay,
Okay, so War Memorial flagpole. So approved cost for flagpole annual maintenance checks.
yeah.
There's two.
So this was something, again, I wasn't even aware that we had to have done annually. I know that obviously the one, it's not technically a flagpole, but the one near the War Memorial, is, I can't remember what they call it, weight tested or something tested by the Christmas light people. So I know that's all right. Obviously we've got this one here as well, which isn't used that often, but yeah, if it's something we're supposed to have done annually, I need to start scheduling it in annually. So this is the cost of this company that, funnily enough, approached me, and it was them that I said, how often are we supposed to have this done? Thinking it'd be something like 5 years, and he said, well, best practice really is annually.
Okay. Anyone particularly against it? I really hate
No.
flags.
Let's go for it.
Seems like a lot of money, but yeah, maybe it's worth getting done this year and then.
Look for, yeah.
Well, I'll look for another one and see if we need that flagpole up all the time.
I don't think it comes down. The one in the town,
You can
it's
pull it out,
it's
can't
difficult, but yeah, you can dismantle it. That one I've never seen. I think it's actually cemented in and bolted as well, I think. But yeah, so we're happy to approve this, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Ian, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Jamie, yeah, thank you. Everyone all right with that, yeah?
Good. Trees. Trees.
The tree, the Norway maple is gone now, although the diocese had specified in the instructions that they sent back to us that they wanted it taken right to the ground and the stump grinding out. But the tree surgeon said that's not what he'd quoted us for, and he didn't think it was the right course of action because the tree had rotted in the centre. So he said if you put it right down to the ground, there'll be a hole there. So he's left it at like hip height so that it's clearly visible. It's out of the public footpath anyway. It's behind some gravestones, but he thinks that's the best course of action, to leave it as it is. We've gone to the diocese and told them that, and they're considering whether they're happy with that. Obviously, if they come back and say they're not happy with that,
You can sonnet and do other, you can.
well, it's a habitat
Precisely.
environment anyway, isn't
If
it?
you try and dig it
That's
out,
what we
it's
call it.
not trouble, it's worth.
Yeah. Okay. St Peter's Church. Discuss flagstone replacements and pointing to the next steps. This is something that we talked about, isn't it?
You put the agenda up. Please.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
Excuse me, so we talked about this at the full council meeting, didn't we, last week? A number of the flagstones at St Peter's Church are in pretty bad condition. Yeah,
We've not had a quotation or anything on any of this, have we?
No, we, a long time ago, I got some quotes. It wasn't exactly to repair or replace from the flagstones. It was where, outside the Gascoigne building, where like not a tunnel, what do you call it? A trench had almost been worn out either
Yeah.
side of the flagstones where the children cut the corner and walked sort of 4 in a row. So I'd got some quotes for that. It was Ian that noticed some of the cement pointing had come up, and the flagstone that was really damaged, where the frosters got into it, once the loose bits had been swept away and moved away, it doesn't actually look that uneven. So I think it's a case of going down there and looking at the really damaged ones and working out what we do want to do before getting some quotes.
I go through over most of them every day, and actually most of them don't look that bad.
No.
I think pointing is an issue, because when that does go,
Yeah,
some of it will go underneath, and that's when they'll crack.
start
And
cracking.
that's, as we know in the rest of town, that's bad having beers expensive. So I think we need to get the pointing.
Pointing done, yeah.
ASAP, again with lime.
Yeah.
Lime water.
Yeah.
I can do it for you. But it strikes me most of the flags. There was a price on one of the documents, wasn't there?
What's
Two
that?
prices at the top of the top of something, top of the November or the supporting documents.
What was that for? Did I get something else? I can't remember.
Flags, yeah, Redstone flags being used 420 each, Johnson's or Jewson's. 60.
Oh, yes, I did. Yeah, I did have a quick look.
I was wondering, are they, we've got unusual shaped stone.
I think they were probably just your
Bog standard.
common garden ones, yeah. The pictures weren't very good on the website either, but I just had a quick look.
Because I suspect they're just bog standard.
I mean, I'm assuming I'm going to have to go to someone like Weldon Stone, who, speaking of Weldon Stone, I've emailed them a couple of times about what work we can complete on the churchyard wall for the rest of our budget that we've got left, and also
The cemetery wall.
the cemetery wall, yeah.
Yeah.
So I will chase them tomorrow to see if they can,
Because one of the questions about this was putting money in the budget for next year.
yeah,
Presumably the maintenance guys could do the pointing,
yeah,
because I could do it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
And then the flag's almost going to be a case by case basis. So
Yeah.
I think, is it 500 or 5,000 you routed as being in the
That's fine.
budget?
For St Peter's Church,
For next-
for next year.
Normally 5K.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've still got 5k this year, which is why I'm trying to get Weldon Stone to come and do something for that,
So presumably if we get.
or I suppose we can carry it forward.
Yeah, or we have another specific quote, we can
Yeah.
just say that we're going to keep that for next year,
Yeah,
rather than put an extra large sum in.
yeah.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Do we need to propose that or anything?
No, not really, no.
Okay, so the cemetery, discuss the report, so next steps.
Yeah, again, this is,
Cemetery
I'm just
boundary, yeah.
basically waiting, to get in touch with, Weldon Stone for another quote on I can't pronounce it, how do you pronounce it, arboriculturist, Robert,
It's the same thing,
arboriculturist, yeah. He basically, the small section of wall that's fallen down that I showed you the pictures of is fairly safe and fairly small. He said the bit he would be more concerned about is the bigger bit that's further along. He said, I would look at that first before you do anything. And as his advice says, it shouldn't destabilise the tree doing what North Northants Council have suggested that we do. However, if once the wall's taken down, the foundations aren't good enough and the foundations have to be redone, then obviously that means digging down, which could compromise the tree's health and stability. So he said you'd have to reassess it once you've taken it all out. So basically what we need to do is get quotes
Yeah.
for that part to be done so we can look and see what's happening before we do anything else.
Okay.
Do we need a vote?
No, not really, because it's just getting quotes, yeah.
That's fine, that's good.
I note that he says, oh, and there won't be a recurrence of the problem for 10 years.
That's right.
So,
About it.
yeah.
Well, my words were, oh great, I'll be finished by then, I'll have retired by then, hopefully, so it's somebody else's problem,
So we've looked at the option of stepping the wall out,
which is a no-no.
which is no, because NNC went. We've looked at the option of cutting the root and rebuilding the wall as is.
Mm-hmm.
That might give us 10 years life if we can get a quote for the wall to be done.
Mm.
Next case is the tree would have to go
Mm-hmm.
and then rebuild the wall.
Or NNC did say something about bridging. I didn't. We'd possibly have to look into that further because I said to this chap, I said, "You know what that means?" And he said, "Well, he has seen situations where they've put something that's a little bit more movable than a stone wall. So either just a plain kind of fence, or he said he has seen it where they've done railings before and things like that." I don't know. I don't really know how that would look, and I don't know how much longer time in terms of time scale. He said it was certainly fencing, having a break and having fencing there would certainly be a cheaper alternative to keep replacing every time it starts pushing. But I mean, none of it's ideal. I suppose the ideal case is to take them out, but nobody really wants to do that. So
Just on that basis, I suppose, on one of the other ones, it said that there was the land we're having cleared at the top. There was a problem with the contractor. Is that a subcontractor to the guy we've contracted, or is it the guy we've contracted?
the guy we approved,
Yeah.
he's long-term sick.
Right.
I couldn't get hold of him, and I thought there was something wrong. And his wife's confirmed he's out of action. thankfully I'd got another quote to do the same work that came in just a little bit more. So we decided to go for that one, and they're the ones that are coming on Monday. So,
Because if we end up deciding that taking that tree out and replanting a similar tree somewhere else.
Yeah.
Might be an option. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Next, James Strong, to report. Markets received a report regarding our school's current provision of electricity to a certain small number of market traders. Okay. Concerns about this as continued facility and certain steps in.
I should declare an interest that I'm going to Arundel School
Yes.
in other work for them.
Okay.
Shall I leave the room?
Is that the Branston House ones?
I promise I won't do it.
So how does that work? They
Trail effects across the pavement.
no, this is something I was completely unaware of because it was something that's a long-standing arrangement. So, I think one or two of the Thursday market people had made their own arrangements with Arundel School. So on the side of Branston House, I think it's in the alleyway of Trendles. There's two electrical points that are powered from Branston, and this market trader off his own back made an arrangement with an unofficial arrangement with Arundel School to power his stall, and that's been ongoing for quite some time. Then subsequently with the Christmas market, some of the Christmas market people noticed it and approached me and said, can we, and I said, it's not ours. If you want to find out about it, you'd have to speak to somebody at Arundel School, which some of them have done, and Arundel School have kindly let them do it. Obviously, Amy, the estates lady at Arundel School, has not found this out, but it's come to her attention. And obviously she's not happy because she's like, well, who's looking after and checking the PowerPoint? Who's managing the health and safety? Should it be Arundel Town Council? So there's this whole kind of grey area. I remember when I first joined, or somebody had told me they looked into getting a central source of electricity for traders, but it's just astronomical, the charges, how much it would be to install. So the council at the time, I think, had said, we just say to market traders, they have to provide their own facilities. If these people want to carry on and Arundel School are happy to do that, that's up to them. We're not involved in that. But obviously moving it forward, Amy and Arundel School want something either in writing that we're taking responsibility for it or not. But we've got to decide what we're going to do moving forward, because it's all just a bit of a grey area really, and it could potentially be a hazard and
sure.
Some kind of problem for Arundel School.
Okay. Thoughts from anyone? Ian?
There's a concern about supply of 13 ounce,
Yeah.
etc. What sort of things are being powered at the moment? Is it lights or?
I think it's the cheese man, so I think it's fridges, freezers for him.
It's the fridges.
And then the other person that's used it, to my knowledge, on the Christmas market was the Indian takeaway man.
Yeah.
So his would have been,
This would be as well.
he would be cooking. So yeah.
I mean, it's gone on for years and years.
Yeah. And it's initially, I spoke to Emma and she said the complications with it, so we just have to distance ourselves from it. So obviously I spoke to Amy about that, and she said, well, and I said, if you want to stop that arrangement, obviously we completely understand that. But then all of a sudden, speaking to the Thursday market manager, she was like, oh, well, he relies on it and he's been doing it for ages. So I just said to Amy, right, and I said to Emma, I'll ask them to continue as we have for now, and then we'll discuss it at this meeting and work out how we move forward.
To a certain extent, I think you're right, that we need to distance ourselves from the whole thing.
Mm.
And if a particular trader wants to negotiate something with the school, that's up to them.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah,
nothing to
and
do
it's
with
their
us.
responsibility to make sure health and
It's
safety is
really
adhered to and
nothing do
everything.
with
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
I don't think we should actually get
I would
involved.
my view is we're selling the pitch.
Mm.
And if they pay for the pitch,
Yeah.
that's us Yeah,
And
the
we say
rest is up
it's
to them.
without electricity.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And we tell them that, we say either a generator or your gas, you can use the gas approved
They want an
appliances.
independent
Yeah.
relationship with the school, that's up to them.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with
I had this conversation actually with somebody that asked to be moved on the Christmas market. He said, you've put me here, but I normally go here. And the reason I want to go here is I piggyback off this shop's
Right.
Wi-Fi. And I thought, well, okay, if that shop's agreed to that, that's fine. But I said to Morag, you do need to go back to them and say, it's your responsibility to provide your own Wi-Fi. It's nobody else's. You know what you're coming to. Everybody else has to
This
do
is
it.
no different in that
No,
respect.
It would
exactly.
be the
Yeah.
same in
It's
every
exactly the
market.
same. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, okay, so I think our response would be, if people want to, if market traders want to make an agreement with Farnborough School, that's up to them. But we, like Max says, distance ourselves.
We can't be piggy in the middle.
No. Okay. I'll let Amy know.
Cool. Town events.
Anything going on this weekend?
No, I don't think so. No.
Have we got Santa Claus booked?
We've got two now.
Two.
Have you really? I don't know.
God,
Actually,
that's
genuinely
Last
really
minute. Last
Who
minute.
helped with that?
What?
Talk to Muggin, I'm not doing it.
Oh.
He's not talking anymore.
And the other person is the husband of one of our.
Don't
I
spoil
don't.
the
Well, no,
fun.
I
Don't
don't.
spoil the
Just in
fun.
case somebody happens to be listening. That's So it's yeah.
They're
Who will be
neutrals.
very good? Who will be very very good at it as well.
Excellent.
So, yeah. So
And
we've
all
got
the way
two.
from Lapland, aren't they?
Yes.
Yes,
Just on the day,
just on the day.
on the reindeer, which is on the park next door.
So, yeah.
And the reindeer have got designated parking space this year as well, so they don't get a
Yes.
ticket from the traffic wardens.
The reindeer are driving, that's not
Well,
very
they
good.
Uh,
Is there actually any news for that? Because he does say, sorry.
so again,
It says town events update to report, so is there anything you may be aware of?
no, remembrance, I've just put in there, Remembrance Parade went really well.
Oh,
RBL
yeah.
sent their thanks to Elder Town Council, they said everything went really well. Yeah, and the Christmas market is virtually done, thankfully.
Just one thing on the town events, when we were there, I was talking to people from the British Legion and the Cadet Force and mentioned the fact that it would be really helpful, I suspect, if we all knew what was actually going on, because everyone seems to sort of have an idea, but it's like reinvented. So I think.
What was in the schedule for the day?
Yeah.
Okay,
And who
yeah.
stands where and who does what.
Yeah.
I think they're going to write it down
Yeah,
and we can sort of publish that.
well, Stephen always gives us the order of events, but it's just basic, March starts, March
But
arrives
it's
at
not,
the.
it's not published to anyone else.
I think Rebecca put it on the website last time.
Did you?
I think so, yeah. I will just check that. But yeah, so I need that from Stephen Abbott then, a proper,
I think he's getting
Report.
to do it.
yeah, okay.
That's a good idea. Environment and flood water issues.
We sort of dealt with that with the eco drain, haven't we, in the car park?
Okay, good. In that case, streetlights, CCTV and energy and charging floods, nothing to report. So that brings us on to any other business for report only. Val,
No, I haven't anything.
Max,
No.
Ian.
No.
I've got two very small things. One is, you'll never guess, but the clock on the Old Town Hall.
That might be one of them.
They're coming tomorrow.
Okay, good. And the second thing was, I know we're doing turning the lights on, but it took me quite a while to find what time that actually is.
3:30, okay.
So,
Is that happening the Christmas on
yeah,
Saturday?
at 3:30. But it took me quite a while to actually find
Broad daylight.
when it said what time the lights are going on.
Okay, I'll get her to highlight that a bit
yeah.
more. Well, the market run time is now changed to 10 till 5, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
So we were like 4 o'clock might be a bit too late. People might have already gone home by then, so we're doing it 3:30. Then it gives people an hour and a half.
A lot of people are wandering off anyway.
Yeah.
Good.
Brilliant, that's it. So in that case, meeting closed.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.